Hi, everybody. It is January the 27th, 6th, and this is our Tuesday night Zoom call. Tonight, we've got a great call because we're going to be talking about how do we support our clients. And the one thing that's really, we've got to be very careful. We are in the helping profession, and it is ripe for people that are helpers to want to help a little too much. And then becomes about us and performance, and we're not good enough. And we are looking to get our clients to do exactly what we need them to do because we need to feel good. So that is a very big danger that we want to be aware of, that if we want something too much for our clients more than they want it for themselves. What helps me is to know that most people go on a diet, and most people that try and lose weight don't succeed. So the people that do are the ones we're really working with, the people that really change their orientation, and we can help with that. But we can't help everybody. So the thing that I found is the most impactful is when we're authentic, and to the point where what I do before I call somebody is I have my hand over my heart. That means I'm not coming from my head. I'm not trying to get them to do something. I'm really trying to understand and move them forward and support them. So I want to share just a little bit about one of the things, a couple of things. I have a couple of speakers who do a great job with client support. So like I said, being authentic, one of the things that really is we want to remember about our business is that we are free health coaches. So we're entering into a different relationship than if someone paid us to coach them. And that's it. So it's really important for us to set up some kind of structure with them. I'm going to call you the first 4 days. I'm going to check in with you each week. Does Mondays work for you? And so you can set a time if you want. You can keep it open if you want. But it's real key to be consistent, because if you can be consistent, then they learn to expect you. I know whenever I'm inconsistent and someone slips through the cracks, that's when people don't call me back. That's when I feel a little more awkward. That's when the time goes by. But if I'm really consistent, even if they don't call me back, they'll say, oh, I know you call me every week. I just leave a message. And then they're very likely to call me back as their journey continues 5 years later. I had many people start back again. They know that I'm consistent. Someone later can ask a question about how often we need to call them. Maybe after 3 or 4 times, I might not call them if they don't call me back, but that's a consistent. And the other thing, I think the main skill is getting consistent, setting your schedule, setting it out with them ahead of time, what's going to happen. And then the other thing is learning. One of the things we can master is learning to ask questions. The right kind of questions will really take us, can flip somebody. Some of those questions, I can read you an example. This happened this week or last week, and it made me really see the questions. Would y'all like to hear it? A call, a text with one of my clients, and that flips them. She was complaining. She lost weight about 2 years ago, kept it off for a long time, and then just over the holidays gained about 8 pounds back. And she was complaining that she lost 2 pounds, and that wasn't good enough. So exercise 20 minutes on the treadmill, started Sunday. Should I stop or continue? This was last Tuesday. Should I stop or continue? So what kind of question is that, right? I mean, I don't know the answer to that question, if she should start or continue, because I don't know where she is. Well, how do you feel is what I ask. If you feel good, continue. I don't think your 2 pound weight loss has been slow. What have you been eating for your lean and green meal? So I just started kind of breaking it down, asking her, and then I get, tuna, chicken, I get all this stuff. Sounds good to me. Do you eat, how much meat do you eat? Have you ate at a restaurant? She tells me what she's been eating. Can you think of, and so my question is, can you think of anything else? It could be that you've gone slower than you wish. Because I don't think, I think 2 pounds is good. If not, then you're doing great and the results will come for sure. What I find is people get very anxious if they're not losing, and that anxiety, I believe, causes a slowdown. It's stress. And she says, thinking back, when I got to this point last time, it was very hard from this point on. So I don't know what that means, right? So I ask, you mean it was hard losing weight or it went slower? I mean, a better question would be, what was hard about it? And she went slower. And I said, yes, that happens. And this is something true. Being in a lower weight means you need to eat less calories to maintain your weight. It's something you want to accept. Adding weight, and this is probably too much information, by the way, I'm just saying. Adding weight training light during weight loss and then increase as you reach maintenance will help your body, you change your body composition. Next thing she says, should I eat less Metafast? So what's my next thing? So when you see these questions, you like kind of go, are you eating 4 or 5 times a day? Are you eating 4 or 5 Metafast per day and 1 or 2 lean and greens? I don't know if she's doing 4 and 2. I forgot what we had said we were doing. I'm eating 5 and 1, lean and green. Perfect. That's what I said. You want to continue eating all 5 because you would not be getting the nutrients you need if you cut back. The Metafast meal replacements are what allows us to get our calories low enough and nutrition high enough for you to get the results without going into starvation mode. Keep doing what you're doing. It's great. What other positive benefits have you noticed being back on the 5 and 1? Not as tired, no sweet cravings, more energy. I love the program. I'm beginning to feel inches from my waist. That's really the first sign of weight loss for me. I'm so happy. I love those non-scale victories. Energy and no sweet cravings are the best feeling for me too. That demonstrates you're in fat burn, so results will follow. And you can enjoy the journey. Okay, I'll chill because I know that it works. Thanks. And then she goes, and then she sent me this picture and she looks amazing. I kept it off to my son's wedding. And I'm like, wow, absolutely gorgeous, Linda. I'd never seen her picture. So how much more do you want to lose now? And then she told me, that's great. Well, then she said, so anyway, she's sending this picture. I'm going, oh my God, she needs to be a coach. So I went into that conversation right there. She says, well, I don't like selling, but I'll be happy to talk to anybody. I'll be happy to help somebody. And I wasn't going to go, I'm coaching her for somebody else actually. And so I'm not going to go into it or try and convince her or anything. But she says, so I said she could just be a reference for other people. Sounds good. Thanks for all your coaching. It's really helped to change my life. Now, at any one of those points, how many of those questions would have leveled? At any one of those questions, I could have been leveled, right? Should I quit Metafast? Should I exercise? Should I not exercise? I'm not losing weight. And so the key is just to ask another question to get more clarity around it so that you can guide them because they really want to succeed. So that's what I found. So I thought that was a good example of turning it around, but I could have gotten flustered and I did get flustered, in a few of those questions. But anyway, it's our job to keep our cool. So Molly, you are the queen of really great questions. You want to share with us, some of the things that you do? Take notes, everybody, because Molly has some real good insights on some things.
I don't know about the taking notes part. I was just tickled because I love hearing your approach and I need to incorporate that so much more into how I coach because your consistency in the questions and just, it's kind of like being tenacious, you just keep asking the questions and I love that. One of the things that I always one of my go-to things when I'm talking to somebody who is in a similar circumstance where, they're not happy with the amount of weight they're losing. And we're like, really? Because you're down like 2 pounds and you only have 8 pounds to lose. I mean, you're 25% of the way there. So, okay. But you got to be a little bit more savvy about that, right? Because that's what you want to say. And so I've said, okay, so listen, when I've been in that place where I hadn't lost as much as I thought I should. And my coach had this conversation with me. She said, do you really care if you lose 2 pounds a week over the next 4 weeks? Is that more important than maybe seeing the scale drop 5 pounds the third week and 3 pounds the last week? Like, when you look at your month, does it really matter if you lost 2 1 week, 2 the next, 2 the next, 2 the next? Because really your body doesn't respond necessarily in the way of your human effort. We have to let it respond. So the lesson here is that effects are cumulative. And this is your first lesson in that you want the consistency will pay off. This is not about 2 pounds a week. This is about getting healthy. We have weight goals, but the consistency is what will pay off. And they always say, yeah, it doesn't really matter if I've lost 2 pounds per week over 4 weeks, or if I've lost, 5 pounds and then 3 pounds. It doesn't really matter as long as I'm losing. I'm like, exactly. So let's not get stuck there. Does that make sense about the cumulative effect? So that's one of the strategies I use. The one that just works every time is, so tell me what you're thinking. It just opens up the opportunity for you to understand their logic around what they just said. Tell me why you're thinking that. Tell me more about that. So how is that? Like, walk me through it. What does that look like? So you can get clarity around what they're thinking. So those would be some of the things that I do on a regular basis. You're muted. Oh.
Love that. We'll try. I'm gonna. We might come back for questions. That's perfect. Tell me more. What are you thinking? If someone has a bad day, or and what do you say? What does that look like? Like, I cheated today. Or whatever. What does that? Or I'm having trouble. Right? What does that look like?
I'm a big wordsmither when I'm talking to people. So when I say, so tell me what that looks like when somebody says, oh my God, it was an awful weekend. Well, I don't know. Is that awful because something bad happened to somebody, a friend or a family member? Or is that awful relative to not being on your eating plan? Like, I don't know what that means. I need to know more about, well, tell me what was awful. Walk me through it. What does that look like? So they'll walk me through it. So now I know what our subject is, right? At least I've got more information, so I know where to take the conversation. But when people say to me, and it happens every time, I cheated, I'm like, okay, this is part of the mind shift. And I say to them, I know you're going to get frustrated with me because I'm a big person around words, because I think words impact us more than we realize. So what I want to help you do is recognize that you are not a cheat. I don't think you're a cheat. Would you describe yourself as a cheater? I don't think you're a cheat. And so I do not want you to give the food the power to define you as a cheat.
Good one. Good way
to say it. Because that doesn't serve you. Now, did you maybe not eat consistent with your goals? Okay, that happens. But cheating is not something, I was bad. That was the other thing. I was bad. Okay, you know what? Do not give the food that kind of power. Food should not have that kind of power over how you feel about yourself. You are not a bad person because you ate a cookie or indulged in something. That does not make you bad. So I know it sounds like a little bit of wordsmithing, but they get it. They get it. I'm like, that's where it starts, because you're associating negative feelings about yourself related to food. And that is not where it belongs. Food does not belong in that level of power around what you're thinking. So you have to change how we're saying it.
I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Very, very, yep. Right on. That's so true. And the more that we can point out little things like that, the more we're shifting that mindset so that they can have a long-term success rather than just that diet mentality. Thank you, Molly.
You're welcome.
Julie Apple, are you around? I got you unmuted. Julie and I had Julie and I talked about this last week, and we kind of had a great time talking about, and now Julie is a personal trainer. So I'm putting that caveat out there for everybody, because that's why I talked about being authentic. You want to come from where you want to serve somebody, to be of service. And Julie can do it differently than Molly can do it, and that I can do it, and that, Susan can do it. So be careful. There's not one right or wrong way. It's about your authentic way. And that's your personal growth through this journey, is you're going to attract the kind of people that you're meant to serve, and they'll be the right ones for you. So Julie.
What I was telling Susan last week is, it's always interesting for me when I make calls to clients every week, because I'm paid by clients every week to train them, and they ask me to hold them accountable and keep them on track. And I feel like as a health coach, that's our job, and that's our responsibility, is to cheer them on and hold them accountable. So I think when I talk to clients, I probably come from more of, and Bev can probably attest to this, but I come from more of a authority, in that I'm a trainer and I have a lot of clients that I'm helping, and I have expectations for them, but I also want to be their cheerleader. So it's kind of, I have this like tough love mentality, is I want you to get results, but I'm going to hold you accountable to what you told me your goals are. And I'm going to take this seriously, and we're going to make sure we're talking each week. And I asked Dee last week, I was like, well, how many times do you just call people and they don't return your call? So setting up some standards like that, and making sure that you're doing your part, but you also can't force anybody to do their part. Like Susan or Molly said, they've got to want it, and you're just helping inspire them every week and touch them, and make sure you're their cheerleader, but also their tough love to get them the results and get them where they want to get healthy in the long term.
So Julie, what does a call look for you? Ding-a-ling-a-ling, what do you do when you just what does your normal coach call look like?
Usually it starts with talking for a few minutes or a couple minutes, just to, oh my gosh, like I have a lot of clients on Fitbit challenges. So that's always a great way to start the calls with them. Way to go on your Fitbit steps last week. You won the challenge. So a lot of times, like today, I started that with one of my clients. It's a student in Boston. She won the challenge. So I was like, way to go on your steps. And she's like, yeah, I was getting all these steps last week. We were running through the snow, trying to get to class, blah, blah. So I started it that way. And then I said, my transition was, so was your food as good as your steps this past week? How was food for you? And she was like, you know what? It was awesome. She said, I asked her, I said, how did you do? And she's like, I'm actually down another 2 pounds. So we got to talk about that, and I just congratulated her, and I said, that's fantastic. And so we kind of just talked about her life for a second, and then we went I made sure we got right to the point of calling, and I wanted to make sure she got results. She's in a good place this week. And I said, well, everything, do you feel like you're doing well? Are you drinking water? Tell me what was good for your week. So she went into that, and I said, well, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. And that was it. That was our call.
Perfect. I like what you said. Tell me what was good, or tell me what worked. I love that question, so tell me what the best, you're experiencing, or what a good thing you've experienced this week. Right. Something that's non-scale. I think it really takes, look at what, they're not happy with the weight, but they don't have cravings. That's pretty, that's cool.
Usually every week too, I ask them, I'm like, what do you have coming up? Is there anything we need to strategize for? Like if they have a party coming up this weekend, I'm like, well, what's your plan for that? A lot of times my clients will say, well, we're having a catered event at work. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do? Are you planning to bring your lunch, or what are you planning to do? So I try to strategize with them every week. That's one of the things I hit almost every week. I try to hit that with every client.
That's good. I like that. I do that too. I say, anything coming up this weekend, right? I mean, and then they can tell you, and then even just talking about it, sometimes they won't even think to talk about it, but talking about it, just they get more choices. They get more empowered about their choices that they won't think about. All right. Well, I want thank you, Julie, and we might have some questions for you I want to have time to open up for questions. Cindy, you were going to share a story with, and I love it because you're a relatively newer coach and you don't have a fitness background and nobody talks like Molly. So, I mean, but it was funny because Cindy was telling me something about a client support story or whatever. I go, I said, oh, that's good. And she goes, yeah, thanks to Molly. I got it from Molly. So it's very cool. So anyway, yay, go Molly. So, so Cindy, it was really a cool story. You want to share with us the story and then we'll open it up for questions.
Okay, so, we all have clients that are difficult, and certainly have had them before. But this one, there were obstacles from the beginning, and I even brought her in with one of our dear coaches, Nicole, and had the third party and talking and all that, and got her through and really wanting to do the program and getting on board. And unfortunately, she had a little foot surgery going on, and so she couldn't start the program on time. And I sent her all the directions. She just couldn't follow the directions from day one. And she had a sensitivity to a sugar alcohol, so I told her to eat 1 bar. She winds up eating 3. The girl gets sick and says, I got sick, I'm throwing up, I've got to return all this food. I can't do this. I just can't do this. I've got to, I'm sick. I'm like, okay, I understand. I said, and I talked her through it, and I said, okay, listen, let's, you just went through surgery. You're on medication. You're not feeling good. How about if we put it away for a couple of days? And do me a favor. When you want to try it, let's just have 1 bar. All I want you to do is try 1 bar, and that's all I want you to do for that day. And this was about the 26th of December, and I didn't call her for a while, really kind of on purpose to give her some time. And I texted her to see how she's doing. She started the program without me. And it just amazed me and complained pretty much the way through. And then all of a sudden I get a referral. And I'm like going, oh my God, she's complaining and giving me a referral? Like, what the heck? And I spent a lot of time on trying to be the best coach I could be, and just recognizing, like Susan said, sometimes you just can't do it. And one of the things that I learned, I was having momentum, my confidence has built over, the past year, is that I was moving forward and being really positive, and I wanted to bring her with me, but all the coaching in the world, I wasn't sure was going to help her get where she needed to go. So what I decided to do, my approach with her, besides asking questions, was, okay, just do this for me for the next couple of days. Just do this, and we'll talk about it, and whatever you decide, if you want to, return the food, if you, whatever you want to do, if you want to change the plan, let's just do it a couple days. I'll call you in a couple of days. Tell me how you feel, and we'll do it that way. And I think what really worked for her was just breaking it up and not looking about down a week from now, a month from now, and just keeping her goals very short and sweet, and always knowing, well, you can make a decision, in 3 days. You can make a decision in 5 days. That was really helpful. And then as time built, she got excited because guess what? She got results. So it's kind of a similar story to what Susan was saying, that if you could just hold on to them and have them get the little pieces of success, then they start getting excited. And now she's talking about transition, and I'm like, oh my God, we're not there yet. Okay, well, let's just, see, again, breaking it down. Are you ready to go on transition? Are you at your happy place? No, I want to lose a pound or 2. Well, how about if we hold on to that and see, what will come next? So for me, it was letting go of knowing that I might not have been able to help this one person. And it was also breaking it down so she could make the decision, and that I was going to support her, whatever decision she made. And that got her over the hump. It was a big hump.
Beautiful, beautiful. Isn't that great? And can y'all see that just asking her that a couple questions, or, you know, like I love it when she's going to transition. They're ready to transition. I have a lot of that too. And it's like, well, are you where you want to be? You know. And you know, one of the things for us to know is that when people go off and come back on, a lot of times it's harder to get that motivation again. So if we can maybe alter their program, do a 3 and 3, you'll find out a little bit more what their concerns are, dig a little deeper around that. We can maybe have them reach their goal instead of, just going off, because they usually don't want to just transition nicely. They want to go back into their old habits, is what I find. And it's real hard to get back. So if we can do just a little, like Cindy said, just a little step different.
And ask Molly about that, because she really gave me some excellent advice on transition too. And I think the piece that Molly that really stood out for me is that this is a golden opportunity to see what your body is going to react to, what it's going to cause the inflammation, what is it going to cause to gain weight, that if you don't follow a prescribed plan for that transition, you might lose that opportunity to figure out what causes you to gain weight or what causes the inflammation. And I've used already that explanation twice in the past day or two, and that has really, really helped me a lot. And I think it's helped the clients a lot too, for them to see what an important and unique place they're in at that point in time. So that was good.
Hey, Aaron, Michael and Aaron. Michael? Did you raise your hand?
So recently I had a client, and I wanted to ask a question that was just really, really struggling to lose weight. And I think I didn't ask her enough questions. I asked her all the questions about what was going on with her, why she may have plateaued. And then I started saying, okay, you plateaued. She said, oh, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. I'm doing everything. And we went through all the questions and the standards. So I kept on telling her what she should be. Try something different, try something different, try something different. And we kept on trying something different. And then until finally, I think she just gave up. And, just quit answering my calls. And also, what did she do? And then recently I got a notice that she canceled her order. And I'm just trying to think, what could I have asked her differently?
Great question. Molly, you want to take that one? I mean, I think it's such a powerful thing around that we want to tell them, we want to give suggestions, we want to help them. And yet we don't know if it's kind of like problem solving. We may lose 20 pounds and still not have what we want. And so it is that.
It's 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock. Where there's a coach call. So maybe Molly, I don't know if you want to hang Molly or you want me to give this to someone else. But
I'm gonna close just because I have a team.
Yep.
And I need to be there. So, but I think I'll be really interested in hearing what some of the other coaches have to say about what questions you can ask. Maybe just off the top of my head before I leave would be, so has this happened to you before? How did you feel about it? What worked for you in the past? What do you think is a comfortable change in what you're doing? Can you think of anything that you might be willing to try differently? And the plateaus are tough. And remind me, how close are we to getting you where you want to go? And I always say we. How close are we to getting you where you want to go? And to your goal? And if they're just a few pounds off, say, I get it's frustrating. Is that how you're feeling? Frustrated? Are you fearful? You know, is that what's coming up? A fear? Because we are not a program where we leave you when things get tough. So do you want to continue, talking to me about this? Because I am interested in what happens next. But I do think sometimes people give up on that plateau because they aren't giving it enough time for their body to respond to change. And I also think that there can be a mental block because some people, I'm speaking from my own personal experience, if you lose weight, a significant amount of weight very quickly, and your mind can't really catch up with that, that can wreak havoc on your behavior. So the mind change has to be in place for the behavior change to be permanent. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay. I'm gonna just hop off and get on that other call. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Molly. Those were great suggestions. Liz, you want to jump in there? I'm going to unmute you and see if you have anything to share on that subject with what Michael asked. Liz, did you go by?
No, I'm here.
Okay. I can hear you. I can't see you. Oh, there you are. You changed. Little lineup change.
It's a great question that Michael raises. And when my clients struggle, it's really clear to me they're frustrated. That's their first thing is their text is, I'm so frustrated. And so I think mostly what I try to do is I think it helps to reframe their journey from the beginning. So a lot of times they will have had a lot of successes. And then they have a month where they're not seeing success. And so I take them back to the very beginning and try to make a bigger perspective on what they have accomplished. Because I think if we can reframe it back into a positive experience, then the frustration levels can go down a little bit and they can experience, oh yeah, I did do that. Look, I am making different choices. Or, oh, you're right. So trying to reframe where they've been, not to say their frustration is misplaced, but just to put it in context and to try to free up their energy for, do they want to move forward with this? Or are they ready one of the things that Dee taught me in one of our calls is, okay, so you are frustrated. Are you ready for a change? Do you want to switch over? Do you want to switch? Do you want to transition right now and just, let's get you transitioned and you can see what it's like to be at this weight and live at that weight for a little while? Or do you want to transition to the 3 and 3 now? Or, but I think creating options is the biggest thing that we can do in those moments of frustration, creating a context for them of some perspective and then some choices, and that empowers them. And for me, the most important fact, or my goal is to get them out of that frustrated place. And free up the energy for change that's in frustration for something positive rather than self-sabotage.
Yes.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for the question, Michael. And thank you, everybody. Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Liz. Thanks for being on, Cindy, Terry. So we're going to end now. If anyone's in the challenge, there's a call at 9:00 for the challenge, a group Zoom call. Which is kind of cool. So thank you all for being on the call, and we will see you next week. Good night, everybody.